The spokesperson for Russian President Vladimir Putin is confirming the Russian ambassador met with people from Trump's campaign during the election to discuss bilateral relations. But this is very important. Get this. The Clinton campaign also had meetings with the Russian ambassador during the election. What do you know?
If you look at some people connected with Hillary Clinton during her campaign, you would probably see that he had lots of meetings of that kind. But there were no meetings about electoral process.
All right. So why no reporting on that? Why no outrage about Clinton's team meeting with the Russians? You know, the left went crazy when they found out former National Security Advisor Mike Flynn and Attorney General Jeff Sessions met with Russian officials. Kind of feels like a double standard here, but I guess that's what the media is all about. Joining me right now, American Majority CEO Ned Ryan and political analyst and Fox News contributor Leslie Marshall. Good to see you guys. Ned, I guess we're learning that these kinds of high-level meetings, they happen. They happen on both sides.
They happen on both sides. And if you're the Democrats, boy, life comes at you fast. I mean, not only now finding out that the Hillary campaign had interaction with the Russian ambassador, it's also coming out Nancy Pelosi first denies that she met him. Then there's a picture of him. Schumer saying, oh, this is terrible. There's pictures of him with Putin. You got Claire McCaskill saying, I've never met with the Russian ambassador. You go back and look at some of her tweets from 2013. All of a sudden, she has met with him. You know, there's so many things going on, Trish. I mean, the Russian ambassador even sat with the Democrats during the joint address. You can barely find any coverage on that. If he had sat on the Republican side, you would think something nefarious was happening, that he would sit with the Republicans. He visited the Obama White House.
Is that all because of media spin?
Well, this is the thing I'm trying to figure out, and I would love to have this question answered. What are they trying to accomplish here? To try and prove that Trump is somehow a Russian Manchurian candidate? If so, he's a terrible Manchurian candidate with his statements on the Ukraine and Crimea in February, and then Tillerson and Pompeo and Mattis and all these very strong comments that have been made by his cabinet against Russia. So please tell me, what is the point here? What are you trying to prove?
Let's let Leslie answer that question. What say you, Leslie Marshall?
Well, first of all, I didn't hear specific dates and times of who was met. He said, you know, they probably met if you were to look at it. So we do need to dig deeper. One, two, Hillary Clinton isn't president. And if she was, there certainly would be outrage. And Ned, you know it. And then thirdly, answering your question, you know, what the concern is that we know that Russia hacked into and tampered with our electoral process. Our concern is not just for our nation and other free democratic nations.
Okay, that's a big statement. But can I jump in just for a moment here, guys? This is no, but it's a big statement when you say that they hacked into our electoral process. Are you talking about hacking into John Podesta, the campaign manager for Hillary Clinton's email, or are you talking about hacking into Diebold voting machines, Leslie? Because there's a distinction here.
First of all, only what is proven. And what is proven is that they hacked the Democratic side of things. Hillary Clinton lost, and it was very clear that Julian Assange and some other people did not want Hillary Clinton to be president. And so therefore people say, this is concerning to us as Americans. And this is not just Democrats. When you look at the polls, people want to just know the truth with regard to Russia. If you want to talk specifics, it's not just Russia. It's their annexing of the Crimean Peninsula, and specifically in the Trump administration, his former campaign worker, Paul Manafort. That was one of the first red flags. So Ned, when you ask, the concern is, was anybody saying, allegedly, help us out and we'll lift those sanctions, left or right? That's a huge concern.
First of all, you're having people come out say all that we're finding here is innuendo. People are saying, well, there might be. People have come back and said there is no proof, and there hasn't been any proof, and quite frankly, there will be no proof. This is all smoke with no flame. And so when people are saying, well, they manipulated the elections, I mean, that is a big statement. Yeah, sure, are there some emails that came out? Do we think it was Russia? There's still question marks about that as well. So, I mean, here's the thing, again, comes back to, Trish, what are they trying to prove? I would love to have the conversation about China. I'd love to have a conversation about Saudi Arabia.
I think what they're trying to prove is they're trying to say that somehow there was some kind of backroom deal between Donald Trump and the Russians. I mean, that's where they're going with this, if you read the tea leaves.
Right.
But the other thing I'd point out, and Leslie, you know, look, unfortunately for her, unfortunately for the Democratic Party, she was not a good candidate. She did not know how to campaign. She did not know how to relate to your average American. She had no empathy for people who were losing their jobs because of these structural transitions in our workforce. And she never bothered to go to the Rust Belt to go campaign. Now, that wasn't the Russians holding her back. Those were her own decisions, and she was advised to do so even by her own husband. She didn't follow anyone's advice. So as much as people want to say, oh, it was the Russians, the Russians, the Russians, I don't know how the Russians prohibited her from doing the necessary campaigning that you need to win an election.
I don't feel that way, and the Democrats that I speak to don't feel the way. They're two separate issues. It wasn't just I don't feel Hillary Clinton as a candidate. When you look at the number of votes that she got, I agree that she should have gone to the Rust Belt. She should have listened to her husband, and she should have focused on what we all know is the reason people win elections left or right is the economy. How are you going to bring jobs back? How are you going to increase people's zeros in their paycheck?
Right.
But with regard to the party, it was extremely divided. And you had the Bernie or bust people that stayed home or voted for Jill Stein or Gary Johnson. So I think it was not just the messenger. I think it was the messaging, and I think it was the lack of unity among people of the mindset, even if they didn't want to call themselves Democrats, and a lot of bitterness.
You know, there wasn't a whole lot of
for those that
unity
she was
amongst the
a terrible
Republicans either, right?
She was a terrible
you know,
candidate.
Unfortunately for her, yeah, she was.
A terrible
and the
campaign.
Democrats will need to learn their lesson and start looking right now for somebody good, because they're going to need somebody very good to go up against this president. Nan and Leslie, thank you so much. It's good to see you guys.